Hello, Facebook followers. We're doing our Monday Marriage Minute today, and we're going to talk about fighting fair and conflict resolution. And
we should yeah.
Not that kind of fighting.
No.
Don't do that kind of fighting.
Bad.
That's like call the police kind of fighting. You don't want the police involved in your conflict resolution.
Handcuffs. Handcuffs can be involved.
Okay, that was last week's.
Oh, that would be the resolution part of
the resetting. The resetting would be
with handcuffs.
Okay, no. So we were talking about conflict resolution, how to fight fair, and we've talked a little bit about that, about how to fight fair. You know, this is what I hear you saying, and how to. I hear you saying this. Is this what you're saying? But honestly, in a conflict, if you're in the middle of a fight, you don't think about that. You just like, okay, now let's calmly have a little conflict resolution on this. But you can step back from a fight and think about it, or step away from each other and come back together when you're calmer and maybe have thought about what you want to say. You can jump in here anytime. I can keep talking, but you can jump in here anytime. So.
Just seeing where you'd go with this.
No, yeah.
I think a lot of the tools that I have are what can I do in a heated argument to, what starts with a D? Diffuse the argument. What's the best way to do it? And a lot of the times I find myself, because I self-analyze a bunch, having the argument before having an argument. So there was one time that she was defrosting meat in our refrigerator, and for the millionth time I've told her to put the meat on the plate so blood doesn't drip everywhere and it makes a mess, horrible mess. And
downstairs.
So interruption, sorry. So she was gone. I opened the refrigerator door and there's blood dripping down the fridge. You know, it's great for a chef to say this. And so I, frustrated, and I'm sitting there cleaning up the mess, having the argument in my head. It's like I know her enough that I know exactly the way that she would respond. I know her, I know me, and I know how that I'm going to respond, and I could have the entire conversation and yelling match in my head, and I was just like, this isn't really going to get anywhere. So what I did is I just started frustrating. No one was around, so I'm cursing and cleaning up the refrigerator and having this whole entire argument when she's not around, because there's no one to talk back, so that way I'm right.
No one to talk back.
But by the time she got home, I was still cleaning up I had to unscrew drawers and everything.
That was bad.
The Holy Spirit changed my attitude, or I just worked it all out and it changed my attitude on the whole entire thing. So when it came down to it, I just started serving my wife without the argument and doing almost the exact opposite. And, when Jesus came, a lot of the stuff that he said to his disciples and everyone else is do the opposite of what you want to do first. And the opposite of when somebody does something wrong is to forgive them and then serve them, which is exactly what I worked myself through before she even got home. Now, the funny part is that she yelled at me. Why are you doing this?
I did. I came in and I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew I shouldn't have left it there, and I did. And I came in. I knew he was just going to be livid at me. So I kind of combated that with I threw things up, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm so sorry I did this.
She was cussing at me.
I was not cussing at you. I'm cussing you. And he's just kind of looking at me, laughing as he's calmly cleaning the refrigerator, and it. After I kind of calmed down a little bit, I realized, okay, I'm not really in trouble, but that moment of discovery and him doing the complete opposite of what I expected him to do totally diffused me. I actually started laughing. I calmed down, and we just kind of went on with our day, and he's like, no, and I honestly will never forget that, and I have never left meat in the fridge again, not on a plate or in something, have I?
No.
Nope.
Change is good.
That totally worked, but he diffused it. There was no argument, and we kind of went on.
I'm thinking I missed the makeup sex. Maybe I should have an argument so I can have the makeup sex.
I think we have enough.
Makeup sex? We argue a lot.
Or in general. Yeah. But But that's not always the case. He is not perfect, because sometimes he'll just have an attitude. His emotions are like this, and sometimes his emotions just are everywhere, and I cannot get him to focus on, this is not the most important thing. Pick your battles, especially with the kids. Pick your battles, and we'll argue about that. This is really nothing to argue about. As my folks said on the video on Saturday, is this really something to have an argument about? Because in 10 days, it's not going to matter. Now, there are huge things that are really going to matter. Big, enormous things that you really need to discuss. And I think the biggest thing is find a good time to talk about it. People don't want to talk about hard things to talk about when things are great. But those are actually the best times to talk about it, because it puts safety nets in place. Okay, let's talk about it. Things are going really good. Let's talk about this in a calm manner. And if someone gets defensive and really starts, then you say, you know what, this isn't the time. I'm so sorry. Let's just bring it up another time. And we were also talking about how men and women see things differently. Men need to appeal to the emotional side of women and validate what we're feeling.
And you need to respect me all of the time. There you go. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But also, that is the thing. When you just start accusing the man of doing things, or you're accusing your husband of this or that, or and you, it makes them feel like this big, and then you just hit a wall, and you can't get through to them at all. There's no talking to them once you hit a wall. And it's the same way with us. If you're not listening to me, you're not actually hearing what I'm saying, you're not validating the words coming out of my mouth, you've hit a wall. So that's when you guys need to part and come back together. And it's hard when one party doesn't want to quit. They just keep going. That's when you just need to internalize and stop talking, because it's called dropping the ball. We do this with our kids. If I throw a ball to Tim and he catches it, and then he throws it back to me and I catch it, and I throw it back, we're playing with the ball back and forth. But if I do this and he throws the ball and it drops, we're not playing the ball. I'm not throwing the ball back to him. It's done. You can't argue with someone that's not arguing with you. And it works really good with our kids. Works good with, spouses. If you just can't argue with someone that's not arguing. So, let's just discuss this another time, and you can do it without being condescending or rude, or, like you're talking to your kid. You don't want to talk to your spouse like you talk to your kid.
A lot of the therapists will say use I statements when you're in conflict resolution, when you're talking towards another person, if you bring a mediator in. So you have to use kind of that archaic, or it works because they still use it today, that kind of way as you argue. Everything's in I statements. I feel this way. Not you make me feel, it's how you feel. I feel like you did me wrong when you left meat in the refrigerator and it bled everywhere. I
did you wrong, man.
Yeah.
I did you wrong.
Just if you start with I statements, then you're expressing how you feel rather than accusing them how they feel, which is the part of the acceleration of the argument. I know exactly how they feel, and I know exactly how they're going to respond, and I'm going to do this to push the argument forward. And I'm guilty because I don't fight fair at all. I'm a mean fighter, and I slash with my tongue really, really hard because I'm a dork. But anyways.
I'm doing the opposite of what I want to do right now.
But it's that way to create safety nets. When you have a calming conversation, if she sees me going down an insanity hole, then if I create a safety net of, hey, this is how you could pull me out of depression, this is how you could pull me out of me being insane, this is how you can pull me out of me being angry, this is how you can save me when I'm about to beat my children because I've said for the millionth time to put the garbage away and they haven't listened to me in a week. Mm-hmm. This is how your spouse can come in and save you, rather than looking at it as they are usurping your authority, especially as a guy. Yeah. When Tammy comes in and goes, I got this, leave. Well, we've already had a conversation that we're on the same page. She already knows that we're disciplining the same way, but she now sees me of going stupid, insane, and maybe causing physical harm to my children. So she'll step in and go, babe, go for a walk. Just leave. I got this. And she'll discipline the rest of the way. And I don't see it as her usurping my authority or her cutting me down in front of the kids. I see it as her coming in going, wow, you're going way too far. Leave. I got it. And I've done the same thing with her to where I'm like
screaming and
you've been screaming on for 20 minutes. You've gone past the point of okay at this moment. Let me come in and save you, and I'll beat them for you. Stuff like that. Have you tried Staples?
But whoever is like the calmer person should be that. Have you tried Staples? It's our homage to Christmas movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think that's good. It is hard to fight fair in the heat of the moment.
Don't bring up anything in the past.
No,
the past
don't.
is the past.
Past is the past. It's done. You always, or you never. Those are statements you want to stay away from. She's keeping you out of jail. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am, Christina. That's a good thing. But yeah, try to stay away from I always, you never. Stay away from those statements. Really try to be intentional about the words that you're saying in an argument and what they are coming across to the other person. Because remember, this is a human being, another person that you're having a conversation with. Don't use bad language. Don't use don't call them names. I mean, we've talked to couples that just say horrible names to each other. We learned that a long time ago. We do not call each other names at all. And that's really, really important because those things really, really hurt. And Christine, remember, Tim is past the fruit fight.
My sister used to throw fruit at me when we got into an argument. They would splatter
the bump on your head.
Oranges against.
Right there.
Thanks. Does everyone want to see the bump on my head?
No. Anyway, but that's important. It's trying to fight fair in the middle of a heated discussion is really, really hard.
I think
But it's not impossible if you think about doing opposite things than you normally would do. Try something different, because if what you're doing all the time, every time, round and round in circles, the same argument all the time is obviously not working, try something completely opposite that you would do.
Like serving your spouse in the middle of an argument, it's really hard to do. Also, getting naked in the middle of an argument.
We've said that
pretty
before.
much
We
ends
love
the
that.
argument.
That's an awesome thing. You just, again, not in the middle of Walmart. Or
Walmart, really?
Well, actually, that was what we talked about that. So,
One last thing. It is really easy if you take divorce off of the table and divorce is not an option for you. It's really easy to look at your arguments as, does this really matter? Does it?
My hand is on his face.
Okay.
What do you mean, what's on his face, Christine?
Does this really matter? If she left bloody thing in the refrigerator, does it really matter? Am I going to get a divorce over it? Is it really that important? Is this argument really that important? You can kind of look at it from the 100-foot view, going, it doesn't. I'm going to stay with my wife. And we're not going to get divorced over this.
Yeah.
So this is just a silly argument. When we were young and married, I would literally just laugh and in the middle of an argument, and it would upset her, but I'm laughing just because I'm like, this really doesn't matter. You're yelling at me about if I put the dishes away and if I did them wrong. In the whole big scope of things, I'm not getting a divorce. This doesn't really matter. I'll just try and change and compromise and make things better.
Yeah.
Which is if you come to an argument with the ability to listen rather than to speak first, then that changes everything. And with the perspective that you're not going to leave the person, your arguments change because you're like, yep, I understand that you're upset because I didn't mow the lawn, and here are the reasons why. I really wanted Xander to mow the lawn because I can make more money when he mows the lawn.
But also, that's a huge thing. That is such a security thing for me to know that regardless of whatever arguments we get into, regardless of what happens, I know that you're never going to throw that word out there. That is never going to happen. That is the never statement I can say. I never have to worry you going, I'm done, I'm out of here. That is a very secure thing. It still doesn't mean I can talk to you however I want. But I know that when your emotions are like this, when we have an argument, when things are going wrong, you have to walk out the door to go for a walk. That divorce is never on the table. It's still never an option there. And that's just a security, I think, that means a lot to me.
But we had that conversation before we fought about the conversation.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
We love you. If you have some great topics for us, you can definitely message us or whatever. But we love you. Love on each other. Be kind to each other.
If you have any questions, you can PM us, and we will PM you back.
Did you say PMS?
PM us.